Evening, rookies. It's time for trade talk. I'm not really going to do the whole video in that voice, but the hat just does weird things. Jonas knows what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it is trade talk for round 10. We're going to start the video off, as always, going through the injury news to help guide us with our trades this week. And there's a lot of variation, a lot of value, a lot of must-haves, with not a lot of downgrade options. Some left corner, left side, out of the box thinking in regards to some trades. But we're going to just touch on a few injuries that may influence what we do. Crouch, 3 to 5 weeks away. Very good for us. This makes us look at Peatling. Dawson did Dawson things last week, got tagged. It is what it is. He usually has a good showdown game, but yeah, they just decided to put attention into him. So I'm not really sure I want to look at Dawson. The run home is still very juicy, but it's also why we're going to look at a Peatling potentially. Brisbane, we could see Coleman start to get a chance in the team with Berry going out now. They've even hinted at Fletcher being pushed to the wing to make room for Coleman. Does this actually happen? I'm not too sure. Tunstall could make a name. He might be sub though. So we'll see if he gets in for his, bubble game. But I don't think he's an option, just given how quickly he's come in and out of the team. For Carlin, because of the injuries that have gone down, Cowan with the hamstring, we're hoping we see Carroll renamed. So not a dead rook anymore, which would be good. But we also have the wrong Camporelli doing well. We're probably not going to see him. So maybe we trade Campo for Campo. We never know. In regards to any other major ones, our rookie savior is not to be in Lewis Hayes, done for the season with an ACL, unfortunately. But again, Saad Al-Huli looks to be the best trade down option if you haven't got him already. I got him quite early just because I wanted the DPP to swing some things around, which we'll be utilizing this week. Now, for some in the community, and I speak for Cheese, Sean Darcy is a test. So those looking at Luke Jackson, maybe just wait. If he doesn't get up for this week, he may still be an option, but Luke Jackson does have a high break even, so there is that to consider. O'Driscoll, 1 week away. Again, are we going to see Erasmus, not get a vest? Like, we just want a full game from him because he actually does have the potential to do pretty solid numbers for a rookie and make us some decent cash, but these sub games are just horrid. Geelong's injury list. Humphreys is probably out still, which makes way for Buse, but again, with Stewart and Humphreys out, Polo's still 1 to 3 now. Rise again. Have they updated this? I don't think they have. Horrible. A test for Stanley and Stewart. So if you're looking at Jed views, I wouldn't go there as a Catters man. He's literally, he has played good footy. And he does play well. He just isn't in that pecking order at the moment. So with Humphreys and Stewart to come back, I don't think he plays enough games for us to be viable, especially at the elevated price. Bedford is a test for this week as well. Now, Clark is on the radar. I don't think Bedford goes to him, but Clark is nice and cheap. Tom Green is someone that we're looking for. Toby Green, the other one, is a test for this week with his ankle. I think he'll be fine. He played out the rest, so we'll see what happens. Otherwise, nothing too crazy here for us. Huswaite obviously got the sub best, which was so annoying so early in the game. Scrimshaw is a test and McKenzie is a test. I'm fairly sure they both flew up with the team, so we're not looking too great there. However, Gunston and Meek have taken a rest this week as well. And Deer is expected to play his first game, which is kind of exciting for a Hawks boy. Looking at SDS Supercoach there. In regards to Melbourne, Viney, still a while away. Petty is a test. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything too relevant here. Lever is apparently back, so we'll see what happens there. Does that affect a Lindsay? Yeah, not sure. Would love to see Aiden Johnson get a game. Please, Melbourne. Like he's on the bubble. Give us the game. No real concerns here. Yeah, nothing crazy. Not going to go into that too much. Nothing else here as well. But we're just hoping either Moraes is still named and not sub, or we're just getting rid of him at this point because of his break even. But it is what it is. Nothing too crazy. Jaden Short was rested, but expected to play for those that still have him. I don't know why. Please figure it out. We saw Sims come in, or Sim, which we'll talk to as options very, very shortly. For Saints, nothing too crazy. Dougal Howard is out, and this makes the eyes turn to an O'Connell to potentially be a viable downgrade option at a 130k mark. So we'll see what happens there. Max Singh still ages away. I'm not really sure. This makes us look at Philippou as well because of these injuries. Now, does he spend more time forward? Does he get mid-time? Yet to be seen. First game back was last week, but we'll see how we go. Mills is still a test and probably will be a test for a long while now. Gordon's still 4 to 6. Nothing too crazy here. I still like our chances of Cleary doing enough. So we'll see how we go. And then McGovern, concussion protocols. I imagine he should return. So we could see Sandy Brock out so quickly, but very much expected. Gross did well in his sub role, but again, kind of lost the game in some sense when he got tackled by Brown. Clay Hall, who we did trade out though, he is absolutely just smashing it, and yet somehow does not get a call up. And then Leah Jones is still 1 to 2. Trelaw's 1 to 3 now, so I think this works. I don't know if this works in Ed Richards' favour or not because his massive scores came from when Trelaw was in as well. So we might see some slight regression with Ed Richards potentially with Trelaw out. Like Trelaw and Bond, I think opened up Richards a lot. But again, I still think Richards is a fine pod pick if you wanted to bring him in. So we're going to keep all this in mind. We've got our targets down below in Sherry, Holmes, and Green. So we've got some value, some mid, I'd say at price, maybe a little bit of value, and then paying well overs for a player. So what are we going to look at? So we're going to look at the most traded out. So we're going to look at all coaches. So the most top 10 traded out, Bice, I don't have an issue with. He's got a break even in, I think it's like a 103 break even or 111. He's playing at Sydney Cricket Ground. He hasn't done too well there. I think this is a perfect trade out candidate. We're going to talk about Daniel soon. Cleary, I don't mind a hold or a trade. He's got enough cash where you can do something with it, i.e. Kako still has made less money than him somehow. So Cleary is a good trade out if you have no one else to trade out. I also don't mind the hold because we know he can have those 80 games as well and kind of help that cash gen still going. If he has his 80 odd game, he's still going to make a bit more cash with a break even of 55. So if we were to look at this projection ever so quickly, so let's just say against the Blues, which could be likely, he does an 80. He pushes his cash gen back down. Again, it's just that unfortunate thing where we have just that 35 stuck in the system for a little bit. So it might be a hold to the buy potentially. And then he can probably restart his cash gen. Again, it's just a bit of a better buy than most others. Clacko, perfect trade out. Flynn, yeah, perfect trade out. His break evens, around 97 against Romo. Are they still doing shared ruck duties? I'm not too sure if that's liable. Elijah Hewitt, 46. It's not a must trade out. I still think he's fine. Coming up against Saints, he should be able to give you a decent score. So I don't think it's a must trade out. Definitely either. People are finally, break even at 92. Hasn't done all that well of late. Yeah, a couple 48s, 49s. Perfect trade out option. Clayton Oliver. Now, he's an interesting one because if you didn't sell him when he missed, I don't know if you can move him on or if, I feel like Daniel's more of a trade out than Oliver is. Like, he might be a tagger now. Does he go to Neil? I'm not really sure. I mean, there's enough questions where you can move him on. He was never a keeper. Perfectly fine. And Pepper and Davidson, if you've held on this long, definitely time to get off, especially for Davidson because he's now losing cash. So there are trade outs that are most common for all coaches. We're going to look at top 5%. Nothing crazy changes here except some are jumping off Chera, Moraes, and Trainer. Now, Trainer's an interesting one. I don't think I'd be jumping off trainer against North with a break even of 36. I would be holding trainer. He's done enough to be a viable on-field rookie. Again, outside of that one game, he's, 46. Yeah, it is tough. I just don't think he's a must trade out still. He has all capabilities to do a nice score for you as well. Arrays, fine trade out. Chera, I understand. I dare say if you have Daniel and Chera, keep Chera. Because if we look at their run after their bye, if you can facilitate the hold, that is. So they have the bye round 12. They've got Essendon, West Coast, and then North straight after, which should be some good games. So if you're going to hold Chera or Daniel, hold Chera, please. Daniel is going to lose cash. I mean, Chera is still going to lose cash, but I mean, you never know. He's probably going to give you a better consistent score. Again, Chera played halfback and took kick-ins, did not play his role at all, and still managed an 83. He has a floor of 81, whereas Daniel now has a floor of 50. So we don't want to go for that. Now, if we have a quick look at the top 1%, see if there's any major changes to that. Again, Chera, Levi a bit early. Nothing too crazy, about the same. I think we would be holding Levi, break even of 50. If he's your only vehicle to get somewhere, I understand it and I don't mind it, especially if it's an upgrade to an absolute keeper or top liner, or even just, paying what you could literally pay 120k and get up to someone pretty decent around that 500 mark. So I don't mind it. I would probably hold against Melbourne though, if possible. Now, trade it in. This is where it gets real juicy. All coaches. Jack Sinclair as a trade in. Absolutely love it. Finally, he's probably got to lose a little bit more if he has a poor game, but it is against West Coast and he has a good run coming up the next 3, in my opinion. So the next 3 are really where you want him for. At 529, you can't go wrong with Sinclair. Yes, he's had some down games where he wasn't used in transition as much, and he is kind of getting thrown around a little bit. We've seen him have some mid-time towards the end of games as well. But overall, it's Jack Sinclair. He's going to be able to give you that sweet goal every now and then and give you a spike score. Very much like a Naz. And I know a lot of people are having the conversation of, am I going Naz or am I going Sinclair? They're around the same price. I think Sinclair's like 30, maybe 20 or 30k dearer at the moment. I still think either's fine. Naz is probably a little bit more safe, but you probably don't have the same ceiling as Sinclair. I just think you can't go wrong with Sinclair. If you don't have either, go grab Sinclair, save the 30k, and just grab Sinclair. Al Hooley seems to be the most likelihood of trade-in options that are viable. Boxall, we saw the mishap that was last week. Some people still getting on because they don't really have any options. But Al Hooley is definitely one to grab if you haven't picked him up already. That DPP is so valuable. Hasn't gone up too much from his starting price. It's only gone up 35k. Again, we picked him up for a little bit cheaper. So I guess it worked out in a little aspect of it. Boxall, again, just no real options. Team sheets, is he going to get dropped? Did he get a spray from Lions? And is he going to do what Garcia does and just bounce back? Hopefully. Views, I think we're just reading into the 95 he scored. I don't think there's job security there at all. I'm a Catters man. Views can play very well, but he's just not there in the pecking order, as I've kind of hinted at. I imagine he slides right out when Humphreys and Stewart's good to go, because I haven't had anywhere else. Like, they've still kept O'Sullivan. Like, O'Sullivan's probably the only spot to lose. And I don't see a reason for Scott to move O'Sullivan out, because he actually does, outside of Supercoach, he does enough to have a big influence on the game. Had some big spoils last week as well. Cooper Simpson, going a bit early on Simpson, but again, talk to some Freo supporters. Go annoy Damo from Footy Mailbag about him. He'll love talking about Cooper Simpson or Erasmus and giving you not the great call. But again, 53 in a first game, you're going early. Again, we don't like having to go early. We saw it happen with Boxall. We went early and fielded him because we were like, sure, why not? No, not the play. Zorko, I think he's a fine trading option. 531, could have picked him up a little bit cheaper before, but just shows that he still has the capability to be Mr. Piggy and just ring that ball in. Just had a ripper game, and they're up against Melbourne now. They've got a pretty decent run. No one's tagging Zorko. If Fletcher moves out and Coleman comes in, I don't think we see enough influence. because Fletcher's been doing 90 odds in Supercoach, and Zorko's still been able to do what he's done, essentially. So I wouldn't be too concerned, especially if you haven't filled your team up with the round 16 buy plays and you need to pick some. I think Zorko is a great option as well. Daywicks, first gamer, didn't do anything to really, surprise us or make him a must-have trade in. 99k basement rookie, score 35 or 33. 33, yeah. Going a bit early, but he did start on field, or was named on field. Didn't cop the sub vest at all. I mean, that's promising, very promising. Now CJ, I was actually looking at this as a cash play as well until some community members pointed out that Barras and Scrimshaw were missing, and then before that, what has he done? So if we have Scrimshaw and Barras back into the team, this is what we're looking at. Now, he did have, some short time on ground, but against Melbourne and Richmond too, what happens if he comes up a stronger team? Like if he comes up a stronger team like Geelong or GWS, the scores are much lower. Barras and Scrimshaw, I just don't like it. It just reeks of being a trap. I understand the cash play, but I think we can do better. Dunkley, I think, is a great trade in. Again, the points are going to go to somewhere if Neil's having a quiet game, and it's going to be split across Suitcase, Dunkley, and Will Ashcroft, depending on where he's playing. But our man Dunk's just doing the absolute best. Again, loves Melbourne, so we should hopefully see a good game from him. Does Oliver go to Neil and then open up even more scoring potential for Dunks? I just don't think you can go wrong. Max Holmes is an interesting one. Now, I called it last week that with Bedford being out, I expected Max Holmes to have a spike game. And that's exactly what he did. A 134 after a few quiet weeks. Again, it's just a bit of that roller coaster of scoring where he has like those 120 plus games occasionally spread through the season, but sits on just ever so slightly under tons, or has a floor game in the 70s, which again, some tag games in the 70s is not horrible by any means, but he's just that tag target, the absolute tag target. So what can we expect from Holmes if we grab him? Now, he actually has a really good run for the rest of the season. He might cop attention, so we could see another tag score. But he's got Bulldogs, West Coast, Suns. He might cop attention from Essendon. And he's got Brisbane. And then he has his bye. So he's got that round 16 bye, so you still need to make sure you've got enough bye players. But if you're loaded up in round 16 bye players, you're probably moving on some people in that bye, hopefully to get your Butters or your Bonds or whoever. Then he has Richmond straight after bye. Has Richmond again for the last game. Like that the end of season run is very, very juicy, which is why I personally like the pick. And if I have to get anyone around that price point, I'm grabbing him. And that's for all coaches. We'll see what changes when we go up in the ranks. So a Clark here, a Whitfield, perfect options. I think Whitfield is just one of those ones you just have to pay whatever it is now. He could lose a bit more cash, but what's to say he doesn't, have another nice game? They are playing. Where are they? Yeah, okay. So if we have a look at career stats and see what he's averaging at the venue, ENS, where are we? So he's had a high score of 170 before there, and he averages at around 96. So like he has no reason to not have a spike score. You just have to get him in. He's clearly the D1 at the moment, just super consistent. Just do whatever you can to pay up and get him in. Max Holmes still great. Jordan Clark is also one I love. A bit cheaper. Knew he was due for a spike score at some point. I just didn't see it happening against Collingwood, but alas, here we are. Lovely bounce back, which helped with his pricing. Now he's still got an he hasn't got a high break even, so he's not going to get away from you. And he might just, jump back down to, his usual tough hundreds and stuff like that. Again, very consistent. Is he going to cop attention though from like a Drew in a couple of weeks? We're not too sure. And here's a run home. I don't think is the best. And this is what I'm looking at now is like, because I want to get these guys in now and I want to hold them to end of season. So what does their run home look like? Bit of attention, tougher matchup at this point. He does have West Coast in here. No more Richmond. One more North. So yeah, just North and West Coast really. Gold Coast probably a better matchup too. No Adelaide. It's, yeah. I still think he's a fine pick. Zorko, Daywicks as well. And what are the top 1% doing? Sinclair, Whitfield, Holmes, Clark, and Philippou. So some are going early on Philippou, and I don't mind the pick at all. With all that in mind, we're going to quickly jump to my team and go through what my trade scenarios are. And there's going to be a few players which most will have that we can talk about. So initially, when we look at our team, we've got our mid rookies to fix. Now, we can do a situation around Daniel. So we're going to jump into the Daniel conversation because it ties into Sherry. Now, I was not expecting Sherry to do what he did and get that 180 score and get him past the point of being really available for us this week. However, the structure that comes in now is buys. And buys need to be front of mind at this point because you can either get ahead of the curve or get behind and do some panic trades. Because if you want to trade out of a round 12 buy player at the buy, you're not going to get as much return as someone if you do it now. I.e., you've only got them for 3 to 1 games, depending on who you grab, and then you're going to have a buy again. Not worst case, but we want to try to avoid that if possible. So if we go through the keepers, Sheasel, Richards, Chera, TDK, and Horn-Francis. That leaves us with 5, essentially, if we want to hold these guys. Daniel, I don't count as a keeper. Daniel, whether you do it now or at the buy, is practically gone, but you'd want to get rid of him this week to get us the maximum value exchange you can from him. So with that said, we're not getting rid of Sheasel. We're definitely not getting Richards. We could facilitate getting rid of Shearer as well to really help. But you could also facilitate getting rid of TDK. He just looks tired. He hasn't done a massive spike score in quite a bit. Like we can see he's done some amazing stuff here, but he's just getting tired. He's got Grundy, then he's got Briggs, then he's got Goldstein after his bye. He's got Westcott. Like it's so hard to try to get out of TDK with this little run here. And he's got Goldstein in the last. And he's got Sweet. Yeah. Might have Darcy, Meek, Gorn, Cameron, Sweet again, and Sherry. Sherry will be a tough matchup. And we're just waiting for Pitto to be named at some point. Given how tired TDK is looking, it's literally could be any week. So this could be the week to move him on if Pitto's named and just go straight to Sherry and just facilitate it and be one and done. But there are situations where, honestly, you can facilitate holding Daniel. I think the correct move is probably trade. Yes, he has a nice fixture, but he was never a keeper. Like we've been asking that question for a while now, where he's only like he hasn't done anything promising since round 5 with spike scores, and since then he's just been under the 90 mark, which again isn't horrible, but we've seen the floor now, and we've seen that collate with Sheasel being moved to the halfback as well. A lot of people are hoping it just gets dropped, so it's an easy trade out. And honestly, that would make it so much simpler for us, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So, Daniel, again, you might have to keep a rookie on field. If you've got the good rookies like Reed and Levi and Bice, I still count Bice as a decent rookie. Like, he's been so good for us. He's still averaging 82, and he's averaging his 70s. Like, what if he's going to lose 10K? If he gets that, that's not massive, especially against Carlton. And then he's got Melbourne, like, and Adelaide who give up points, and he's got Richmond. Like, you could probably try to hold him just as a playing rookie, because if he has a spike score, so let's just say he goes 110 here, and then Melbourne he does maybe a 90, and then Adelaide, let's just say it's a bit of a tough matchup, but then he goes 110 again here. He's still going to he's going to get over that 400K mark. So I understand trading out Bice, but in our position right now, we're probably looking at trading out Bice or Daniel. I prefer holding Bice over Daniel just because of the buys. And we can still make some decent moves here. So what are we looking at? So we've said we need to be, buy focused now. It needs to be front of mind to make sure we're set up. And looking at our buy structure, we need to drop a round 12 buy play to make something work. So we're going to put Daniel on the chopping block. Now, we're going to swing in Warner into the forward line. Now, there's a few different ways. We can boost, or we can just do a one up, one down, depending on who we want to go. Now, with Daniel's money, we could easily just put him into Holmes, the Green. We can see we've got Green listed down here as well, which I do love. We spoke about him a few weeks ago. We got deterred because he's just a contested possession pig and needs 30 plus to do well. But again, he's just in really good form. So if we go by average, where is my boy? He's currently like 13th in mids or around that mark. He's averaging 103 at the moment. I think that will get better. He's got a nice fixture coming up. The only issue is, he doesn't really get tagged as well, which is something to consider. Because usually Whitfield or Callahan seem to be the main ones they go to just because they're damaging in transition. But he's got Carlton, Richmond, and he's got West Coast, he's got North. Like, he's got some nice matchups in the mix. It's not the cleanest run home by all means, but it's not too bad. So you could go straight to Tom Green if we didn't want to fluff around, which I don't mind. We're not obviously not going to get the big boys in. We could if we wanted to do some freaky moves. But in regards to what's available and within reach straight away without having to do anything else, just with the cash in the bank, Duke's been really solid. Hasn't gone under a ton yet. The only thing that deters me is just the run's not great. There's no Richmond. Oh, there's one Richmond, but there's no more West Coast. Second Richmond game. We got Hawks, Geelong. There's a Melbourne game in here, which should be all right. I still think Tuke's a fine pick. He hasn't really done, like, this is just his average. Like, he's averaging 112 for the season so far. That's very solid. It's so hard not to pass up on Tuke. I had him last season, and he was a bit of a letdown, so maybe it's a bit of PTSD. But Tuke, I think, is fine. Lockie Ash, I don't know if I would go, if you have Whitfield, I wouldn't go Ash. If you hold Ash, maybe you flip him to Whitfield. There's just no reason to trade out of Ash. He's just been doing all the right things. I mean, like a floor score of 80 at the moment and has been given consistent spikes, a 130, 137, 140. He's also got the decent run. It's hard. I wouldn't be trading out of Ash. You definitely hold him if you've got him. I don't know about trading him in, though, especially at 570. Naz again, 553, 127. Could potentially start losing some cash again, but against the easy matchup, you'd expect some safe scores. He's got a nice little average of 109 for the season, so definitely don't mind that. Rosie as well. I would love to pick him up because that role is so juicy. But again, it's just that buy. Like, if he does this, he's not going to be unattainable after his buy if we want him. And once that DPP kicks in, he could be top 6 or around the mark. So definitely one to keep an eye on. I don't think we can go there with the buy in mind, though. Jackson, again, unfortunately for Doggo, Darcy is a test. So I'm not sure I would go there unless Darcy's out for an extended period. Also kills a trading target in Oscar McDonald as well, with Darcy being a test, which is unfortunate. Nando hasn't been bad at all this season. A floor score of 89. Some spike scores of 136. We haven't seen the major spike scores that we've seen, but again, they've just got a tougher fixture. I just don't know about buying into Suns. You're definitely not getting Rao. Clark, we've spoken about Clark. Definitely love that trade in. Sarong is such a tough watch and tough own, apparently. He's going to bleed more cash as well. Like, he's going to get to the 500 mark. Like, maybe after his buy. Like, it's so hard. Because he's got North after his buy. If he's at that 500k mark, how can you not get him? Really? I know it will be so hard for me to say no. Bailey Dale, if you could facilitate it during the buys, I don't mind it. He's going to make cash, but again, just look at the flaws. Like, he's done it. It's just so hard. They have a decent run, I believe. Richmond, West Coast, Freo. Like, the last 3 games are looking pretty juicy. Yeah. Maybe after the buys. Maybe after. We'll see what happens. Holmes, again, very good. Dawson, maybe after the buy if he finds a purple patch and finishes strong. Newcomb, stay away from the pick, please. Me and a couple lads in Cheese and Scoobs are going to VC him for Thursday night. I do not condone or promote this VC choice, which we'll get into VC choices shortly. Amon's very much, again, we spoke about Amon early in the season. He's had some time away from footy with injuries and whatnot. Hasn't been horrible. 2 floor scores of 79, but otherwise can have the spike score on some decent ones, but probably not going to go there. Walshy, not bad. Horny Man, I still think's going to be in the top 6, so I think you need to try and find a way to get him. Also for Nick Martin as well. I think he's a great option. Yeah, there's just a lot of different ways we can go with this. But what I am considering as my main trades is we go Daniel and Moraes because I want to swing Al Hooley forward into the mids. Sorry. Okay, we're going to need to pick our main man. So if we pick up O'Connell, so we're going to separate this via break evens. I don't know why it's taking so long. Everyone's trying to fix their teams. Where are we? O'Connell seems to be pretty safe job security wise. So then we've got 636. So we've got enough to pretty much grab most players that we want out of this. Now, we could obviously spend up for that. Like, we could go and get a day cost of 600. But again, a 193 break even, you're not doing it. We're going to get him much cheaper. We could grab anyone that we've just spoken about. Now, the thought I have considered is Merit. But again, it doesn't really suit our buy structure. It's so hard. Just because of that round 16. Now, we couldn't get at Holmes, who's still going to have that buy, same as Green. Or we do a bit of a cash play here. And we grab Peatling. So the reason why I like Peatling a lot is it seems like he is the one that's actually benefiting from Crouch being out. Bit of a purple patch. We obviously were looking at him all of preseason, new team, new role, yada, yada. Just didn't seem to do it the first half, but these last 2 games with some decent games in the fixture coming up. So he's got Collingwood, which he should do well against. West Coast, Sydney, he's not going to cop a tag. Like, he has decent runs and he could easily make 100K, which is probably what we're looking at. We want something to make cash. We want to grab value. We want to grab points on field. But we also want an avenue to grab the big guns as well. So for him to make 100K, so we need him to get to, what, 550? So literally up until his buy, again, does he average these amounts? I don't know. So if we pin him at a 105, worst case, he'll get to 518, which is not the worst case. But if we throw in a spike game of 120 maybe, then maybe let's just go 115 here. If we do something like that, he's going to get close to the mark by the time that he makes it. Now, again, is he going to be capable of those spike scores? He's got a 126 before. And that was against a better team. Well, I say better team, but it's Suns. It could be a play. We could do Peatling. We could also save even more cash and go early on the Pew. Now, the reason why people are even considering going early on Philippou is because like, he scored a 78 as like a key forward. I don't imagine the key forward role sticks. I imagine he starts getting some CBAs. Now, it is a bit of a risky play. Yes, it definitely is. However, I think there's a lot of value to be had with Philippou. So I think it's a bit of a cash play, definitely a bit of value. He's got a break even of 50. If he does 70s, so let's just say he does 80s. What's going to happen straight away? Not 280. That'd be amazing though, wouldn't it? Like, he's going to start making some cash pretty quickly. Again, we're hoping that he's one of those ones that we can loop at the M8 and F6 position potentially. I actually don't mind getting Hewitt. I know a lot of people are against it, but again, if we are splitting, Daniel and to try to make the most out of it, we can grab Philippou quite cheaply for the cash of Moraes and Daniel. Helps with our buy structure as well. But then we've also got 326 to do something with our cash. Now, I want to keep Bice. Now, out of all these rookies that are playing, I'm going to loop Huswaite in case he isn't dropped and gives us a big game, which then means we can put Campo on field for Al Hooley potentially, or Lindsay. Lindsay's got a bit of a tougher matchup in Brisbane. I don't expect a big score again, especially if Lever's back in the team, but you never know. Again, it's just been, it's the pattern. The pattern's here already. 50, 70s, 50, 70s. Maybe it's a 50 again. So I might flip him with Lindsay, and hopefully Al Hooley's not dropped and gets a unvested game. So then what do we do with this cash? Now, again, we could put this on anyone and get something really nice. We want to get a rookie off field still. So what we could do is boost. We can get Kako out finally, because I actually have more faith in Cleary being able to reach that mark than anyone else. We can actually throw track down into there, so we don't even have to field a rookie there. And then we can have our pick again at who we want. Now, we've gone through the options. Do we want a Holmes? Do we want... Is Green out of touch? No, we can get Green. There's a lot of options here that we can grab. Is there anyone, like, do we want to throw Sheasel in the midfield? Is there a backline man that we want to get? We can get a Naz, we can get a Clark. I'm actually really torn on who I want to get in. I think it has to be like a Clark, just because I'm loaded up with round 16 buys. And I don't know who I would drop. I don't want to drop a Dunkley. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, we could potentially grab one more because Alhuli and Levi will be gone by then. So we'd have 2 on the back line. We've got 1 in the mid and 1 on the forward line. So we could potentially get away with actually grabbing someone else other than Clark, because 5 isn't the worst case as long as we have the health cover, but 4 is like the sweet number. And then if we look at our other buys, round 12 now, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I still don't love that, but we can throw Sheasel in the back and make something happen. But round 13, which is much easier, so we've only got 4 out if we keep Philippou in there, which is a perfect number. Round 14, we've got probably 1, 2. Bice and Cleary would have moved on by then. So we could load up in round 14 by plays, but there's really no one that I want. Maybe I have to grab a Took, for example. Maybe that is the play. Holy shit, am I going to get a Took? Am I really getting a Took Miller? Or do I just grab Ando? Oh boy. We want them to play these rounds. Because I think... Damn. We don't want to grab round 13 either. Well, I don't want Dawson. I want Heaney. Man, I don't like this at all. Took's 551. Ando's cheap. Let's just grab Noah Anderson for now. We'll see what happens. I may not I don't like being thrown into Noah Anderson. Yeesh. But this way, again, we get a rookie off field. So then Bice, I actually don't mind leaving there. Our forward line's basically complete, so we get everyone in there. We've got Philippou as a nice flex cover. We've got our loopable options here, and I'm happy to not loop. I mean, we could loop Carroll, potentially. The Saints play the late game, so it's whatever. I don't expect Carroll to go nuts, though. Yeah, look, this last trading part, this is probably where I'm going with my team, is boosting and getting some value in as well. The alternative options that we could look at is get Sherry in, but that would mean moving on from TDK and Daniel to really clean up that buy. Would I recommend that? Probably not. Because we'd basically be doing this. We would be going toning up to Sherry. We got 451, so then we'd probably boost out Marias, grab O'Connell, wherever this man is. And we got 513, which then probably means we're looking at grabbing a Holmes. Now let's have a look. I'm fairly sure we have to grab Holmes, or we can just grab Clark. Is Clark here? I think we just missed out on Clark. So, I mean, we can still grab a Philippou as well. That is a play. If we want real value. Because then we have got cash to move forward with into next week. Oh, I don't mind this. But again, then we're probably going to loop Cleary, believe it or not. we still haven't really made any progress with rooks on field because we're still doing one. We still got one in the forward line, 3 in the mids, and then technically 1 in the back line, whereas the alternative one gets 1 rook off field. Again, it's just not having Sherry. Do we pay up? Do we pay up for Sherry? Like, he's going to go nuts. Like, he's projected, what's he projected? He went 144. Like, come the buy round, you're spending 730 on him just to try and get him for his West Coast matchup, which he's going to absolutely demolish, by the way. Like, do we just grab him for this run? Where the buy? I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, this is always going to be a longer video, so I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We are going to jump into VCs. I will try to do timestamps as well in the video if you want to jump around. So, VCC options, interesting one. Gold Coast versus Hawthorn, probably no one. We'll keep it easy. I can't imagine. Maybe a Noah Anderson, actually, or a Took. They could pop off. Hawks don't look that great at the moment. Don't VC nuke. Like, I mean, a couple of the boys are, please. Chad Warner's apparently meant to be a decent shout against Carlton. I don't know if with all that mid-time, though, does he cop a bit of attention from Hewitt? Or does he go to Heaney? There's a lot of questions to be asked, but we could potentially see a spike score from Warner. He has done previously pretty well, a 172, 100, and then 51. So, look, promising things for Warner. He'll probably have a nice game. Don't know if you want to put your VC there that early. But in regards to Carlton, TDK against Grundy, I mean, Grundy let Goldstein do a 112 on him or something close to that. So I don't mind a VC on TDK as well. So that works pretty well. Maybe a Hewitt if you got Hewitt. I can't imagine Jordan's going to go to... They're not going to put a tagger on a tagger. I don't see it happening. So Hewitt could have another nice game. Adelaide and Collingwood. Maybe a Dacos if you wanted to go early. Don't mind a Dacos at all. I don't know if Dawson's a safe option, but Dacos is always a safe option. Well, should be. Fingers crossed. Last week didn't turn out that well. Against GEWS, see, this is the annoying thing with having like a Brayshaw on Sarong. Whoever doesn't get the tag is probably going to go nuts. Does Brayshaw cop attention from Bedford? Possibly. Does he go to Clark? I don't know. I mean, I feel like Brayshaw is always a safe VC if you've got him. Sarong, I wouldn't. He just hasn't done enough. Whitfield against... I guess Whitfield could be a decent shout. And a Tom Green. Even a Lockie Ash, if you really wanted to be out of the box. Lockie Ash could be a decent shout because he's not going to competition. He's going to have free reign. So, you can always do that. Port and Geelong. I don't think they're going to send attention to Rosie at the halfback. They're probably sending attention to Butters. In regards to like Atkins. Atkins definitely is the type of player to suit Butters. So they're probably going to put him on. Maybe they might even put a Mullen on him, to be honest, if he's named. Because he did a decent job on Dacos, but they're not the exact same player. So we'll see what happens there. Butters, Rosie, perfect options from Geelong at Adelaide Oval. I don't know. Smith always has a great game at GMHBA. I don't know if I'd be going Holmes or Smith as VCs. And that was probably the last game you'd probably want a VC. Bulldogs, Merritt is probably a decent shout. Saturday is probably the last time you want a VC. So Merritt, I don't mind. Even Nick Martin at Marvel. If he stays in that halfback role, he could be a shout for a VC. You got Bulldogs. So I think Bont, Dale, and Richards are all viable options for VC. I even like Richards. I might like temptation to go Richards as a VC and then use Hendo as a loop. Is so real, but I can't really use Hendo as a loop actually. I have to take an early VC, and I'm VCing Newcomb anyway, so it doesn't matter. I like those options. Sheasel against Richmond, decent captaincy option, I believe. It looks like that halfback role sticking. So whether he has a better game, sure. But obviously the clear one here is Sherry against Nank. Absolute lock as a captain option for Sunday. I probably wouldn't look at Richmond. VC options for Brisbane versus Melbourne at the Gabba. Do they send Oliver to Neil? I don't think Neil's getting the armband anymore after last week. Should have had a bigger game, but just didn't. So I think Dunks is probably a safe captaincy option if you didn't have Sherry. I think Gawn is probably a safe option too, considering what Sherry did last week. Gawn's probably the safer one. Could go left field and go Dunks or Rizorko. But then the big game, West Coast versus Saints. I think McRae or Sinclair if you want to be left field again and don't follow with the pack, are great options. Now, you can't really do a VC with Gawn into Sinclair or anything like that. I love a Sinclair C here. I think Sinclair's going to have a massive game. So I don't mind it. I'm still unsure where my captain's going to go. My captain is going to go on Sherry if I end up bringing him in. If I don't, it's probably going to go to Sinclair. I just don't feel like... Oh, Gawn could go nuts, actually. It'd be like the fourth game in a row I've gone Gawn as a captain, but that's the VC and C side of things, guys. With all that said, thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost an hour, 45 minutes. Wowee. If you guys are still hanging around, make sure you hit the like button on the video, show your love and support. Make sure if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. On the road to 1,000, over 800 now. So you guys are absolutely smashing it. Been an amazing journey and season so far, just in the content space. Whether we go up and down in ranks, you guys are the main reason why I keep coming back to make videos. So absolutely love and adore every single one of you beautiful rookies. And last but not least, make sure you guys let me know what your plans are for this week in the comments below. Are you breaking your team to get Sherry in? Are you grabbing a Holmes? Are you picking up Sinclair? Are you stuck on your trades like I am, where you're not really sure what the optional path is? I'm scared of a non-owner, to be a non-owner of Sherry anymore. So I might break my team and do this. I might just take it on the chin and play the rookie off-field game and see how we go. Make sure you follow me on X at RookieCoach AFL to make sure you stay up to date on all the final trades locked in and any fun updates that come along the way. With that all said, guys, I'll see you on the next one.